Keep it professional, keep it classy, keep it cute. So the next book I read was wild. It's Lifetime but deeper. I'm not really sure where the plot was. We're gonna be besties for real. So hey chapter besties, what's up, and welcome back to another video. For those who don't know, my name is Angie. I am primarily a romance and suspense reader, but every now and then we tap into lit fic, contemporary fiction, and historical fiction. Oh my gosh, we're here today to discuss what I read in February. All right, so we read 8.5 books. I know, I'll get into, y'all know I'll be reading half books sometimes, so just stay with me. So it was 6 romances, 1 contemporary fiction, 1 novella, and 1 historical fiction that I only read 94 pages in, but I'm in the middle of doing a vlog for that. So I'm super duper excited to share that. We also read, I have actually been loving my digital journal this year. Like, it has been so good. So we read 2,363 pages, which is pretty amazing. So the first book that I read was If You Love Me by Kimberly Brown, and this one was very interesting because it follows Ebony, Tyrion, and Iona. Okay, so there are 3 main characters in the story, and Ebony, something tragic happens and Ebony misses 10 years of her life. And her and Tyrion, they were like childhood sweethearts, meant to be, like knew that they were gonna fall in love with each other, and it was always gonna be them. But she ends up missing 10 years of her life, and during that time, her baby girl has grown up. I think she might be 10 or something like that. So she's kind of, coherent. The whole time though, Tyrion is reminding his daughter, or their daughter, of who his mom is, and etc, etc. So 10 years later, Ebony shows up. What? And Tyrion is engaged to another woman, Iona.
Child. Anyway, so.
And whew, it was a lot of drama in there, but it really follows like true love and soulmates. And so Tyrion, he's kind of having to choose between his wife and his now fiance, and it's a little bit of mystery in here. It's a little bit of trauma. There are some kind of warnings that you need to prepare yourself for when you are reading this book. I don't want to get into those warnings just because I don't want to share too much about it, but I really did love their story. I really did love how Tyrion and Ebony came together and kind of worked through things. Like, their feelings were very warranted for the situation, but they definitely worked through things in the best adult way that they knew how. So that was a really good book. Oh, I did want to say, with If You Love Me by Kimberly Brown, this book also touched on mental health and how mental health can be masked. Like, I was just talking to somebody the other day and I was asking them, did they suffer with anxiety? And she was basically saying like, oh, I don't know, I could, because there have been times where I have felt like I was having an anxiety attack, and I just didn't know. I just kind of let it pass or whatever. So we kind of mask certain things in our life, and this definitely touched on mental health, like mental illness. And I'm talking about like schizophrenia, bipolar. Like, I'm talking about strong mental disorders that some people can really truly mask, and how some parents or guardians or significant others can kind of enable people to act out and not take their medication, etc. So if that sounds like your jam, you would definitely love this book. I did end up rating it 4 stars, so there you have it. The next book that I read was Broken Clocks by Danielle Allen, and let me tell y'all, Danielle Allen, she's an Ange favorite, okay? Because I read Curvy Girl Summer. I think I may have read another book by her, I'm not sure, but let's just say, for argument's sake, this is my 2nd book by Danielle Allen. I'm in love. I'm obsessed, and I don't even feel guilty about it. Like, seriously. This book was so emotional. So it follows William and Layla. And so it's a story of 2 people who are trying to be together. They know they're meant to be together, but things just keep popping up in their way. And it's like real life matters. It's not like, oh, well, let me take that back. it did have something to do with one of the issues was location was the issue, but they had a major issue in their relationship that was literally stopping them from being together, because Layla was kind of like, I don't want to hinder you, I don't want you to regret me in the end. And so William is like, I love you, like I'm here for you, I'm down for you. And so they end up trying to give it a try, but something happens with William and it kind of just shatters everything. And towards the end, you kind of see Layla, no, you're not kind of, you see Layla and William get together and have a real relationship. And I'm not going to say what transpires, but this book really is very thought-provoking in the sense that you have to understand time waits for nobody. Like, you can literally be here today and gone tomorrow. You can literally be sick today and sick tomorrow. So if you are thinking about somebody, call them. If you want to talk to somebody, text them. If you want to see somebody, go see them. Like, don't wait until tomorrow to do stuff, because it's not promised for you. In this book, I did end up rating it 5 stars because I was just like floored by it. I mean, floored by it. I said, this is a book I can recommend loud and with my chest. They were truly soulmates who let fear get in the way of their happiness. Certain things had to happen to them for them to end up where they are, and that's how real life is. Every trial and tribulation we go through is setting us up to be exactly where we are meant to be.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That was my senior quote. And this book was really beautiful romance, but it had so a much deeper theme and meaning to me personally. So yeah, 5-star book, highly recommend. So then I read Finding My Way Out of Darkness by Brianna Michelle, and this is also a romance book. It follows Brian and Michaela. So Brian and Michaela kind of knew each other from back in the day, but Michaela has had some trauma happen to her to where she doesn't remember Brian. So Michaela is in a situation, this is another one of those books that has triggers in it, and Michaela is in a situation where she is in sex trafficking, and Brian is a part of a team with other people that kind of help these women find their way out of darkness. And it's so beautiful, right? And so Brian is smitten over Michaela from day one, and she kind of is attractive to him, but you know, she's guarded because she's been sex trafficked. What's the word? Trafficked. Anyway, y'all know what I'm saying. Since she was 16 years old, and the story behind how that happens is so deep, it's so hurtful, it's so personal. Like, you really just end up despising some of these characters, not the main characters, but some of the secondary characters in this book, because how she got into it was like, it's just like nobody should ever have somebody in their life that is going to do that to them. So she is they kind of set her up and tell her, like, listen, we're out for your pimp. And they slowly like integrate that into her, you know, they don't want to put it on her too fast. So they tell her, like, listen, we're out to get your pimp, X, Y, and Z. So they kind of set the pimp up or whatever like that. And it's kind of a little mystery in it too. Not really, but it's more, it kind of gives Lifetime but deeper, and if that makes sense. Lifetime but deeper. And I love Lifetime. That's no shade to this book, because I definitely rated it 4 stars, so it's definitely up there for me. But Brian and Michaela, obviously, as they're going through these things, they end up in a romance, and Michaela, he ends up taking her somewhere so for her to remember some of the things that has happened to her in childhood, and that, you know, they kind of unfold from there. I did love the epilogue and the ending to it. I thought it was really great, and yeah, go check that book out for real. Oh, I did want to say that there was a portion in the book where I just read on my Goodreads notes where Brian prayed for Michaela. So it was Christian, he was a Christian, and she kind of lost her faith, obviously, from everything that she's experienced. Like, it's kind of natural at this point. But she what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so he prays over her. And I wrote in my Goodreads notes, I'm like, my little Christian heart did so many flips when that man prayed over her. Like, oh my gosh. Like, if you're a Christian woman, you know a man praying for you, praying with you is just top tier. Like, it's just excellent. But yeah. All right, so the next book I read was wild. Yeah. Okay, it was the most memorable book that I read this month. Well, all of them were memorable, but this was memorable on a smut level, on a next level. And it wasn't even that. The crazy part is it wasn't even that smutty for what it was about. 1201 by Bella J. Another romance novel, or romance book. And it follows midnight in time. And I wrote in my Goodreads, I love how the characters' names kind of correlate with the book and what's happening in the book. This book was crazy. So Time is the female main character and Midnight is the male main character, and Time is actually was cheated on. She was engaged and was about to marry, I think, if I can remember correctly. Midnight's not even just his brother, y'all, his twin brother. Talk about messy. Okay, she was engaged and about to marry this man, found out that he was cheating on her with the cousin.
You're not ashamed of yourself.
These men, let's say, be lying, talking about this my cousin, or this, she like a sister to me. She ain't no sister, but the cousin, right? I think her name was Tia, if I'm not mistaken. And so she shows up to the wedding turned up, like bat in hand, going ham, y'all, going straight crazy. I was here for it. I'm not even gonna lie, I was here for it. This was lick back season. For anybody that's ever got cheated on, this book was written for y'all. It was really written for y'all, so go pick it up. So she shows up with the bat, knocking cake, so like just going crazy. So she ends up obviously in jail.
You're not embarrassed.
So who bails her out? Midnight. Come to find out in the book that Midnight and her were matched on a dating website, and Midnight has some issues, and I won't go into what happened with that. You'll find out. So they end up going, he's like, listen, you need to decompress, you need to relax. So they end up going to a party called 1201. He flies her out on their private jet because the family is rich or whatever. They go to 1201. This is a sex party. Okay, it's a sex party. And I mean, like, colors, like Bella J, like, what are you doing, baby girl? Like, come on now. Like, it was crazy. Like, so they go to this sex party, and obviously a portion of the book takes up at this party just them having chemistry, just them talking about different things. So then once the party's over, they go their separate ways. Obviously they can't stop thinking about each other, so there's a little bit of romance there, but neither one of them, well, especially Time, she's like, listen, we cannot do this because it's messy. Like, your parents are going to be looking at me crazy. Like, this is not right for me to be in a full-blown relationship with my ex's twin brother at that. Not even just a brother or a cousin, like, he's the twin. Like, they shared the same womb together. And Midnight is like, basically like, screw that, like, I'll handle the brunt of everything. Like, he was really there for her. He loved Time, like, for sure, but he just had some issues that happened, and so it kind of unfolds from there. The book was definitely a quick read because of what was in it, and it wasn't, I will say that the scenes, they were done very tastefully, if I should say. It wasn't like so smutty to the point where you're like, I can't read this. I did end up rating it 4 stars though. I can't read this. It wasn't like that. It was done in a tasteful manner to the point where you can, if you don't really like smut like that, you can kind of get through it without feeling like weird about it. So yeah, Midnight and Time, they were it. Let me see on my Goodreads that I write. Oh, this book, if you love good banter, Midnight and Time gave y'all banter for days, okay? Their banter was probably some of the best banter I have read in a book in a long time. Like, their banter was really good. I think that's all. Yeah. That book was definitely messy, and I loved every part of it. So the next book that I read was Loved by You by Alexandria Michelle, and this was her debut novel, and sis wrote this book like she's been writing books for 25 years. I absolutely loved it. It came in tie of my favorite book for the month with Broken Clocks by Danielle. I just can't choose between the two, even though they're totally different. Xavier and Vanessa, I don't even know where to begin with their story. So if I was them, they are college sweethearts. Something ends up happening in college that kind of messes up their romance, and it was a bit of a misunderstanding, like, you know, woman pushing a man to, you know, not be a man, even though she meant well, but he didn't want to take the help because he was kind of manly. So that's kind of what transpired with them in college. And I want to say like 6 years later, they are pretty much, well, he's living out his dreams, but he's really missing her, and she's kind of trying to get back into herself, and she's really missing him. One thing that I did love about this book is it touched on therapy, which is something that's not discussed a lot in the Black community. All right, so back to the story. So 6 years later, he's in New Orleans and she's in Houston. He's like in development or something like that, and he ends up getting a project in Houston. Well, they run into each other, kind of set up by their friends, which I could tell this is going to turn into a series, and I am here for it. These supporting characters were everything. Like, they were really true friends. Like, I really want to be a part of the friend group because they were there for each other. So they were kind of set up in a club with by their friends, and obviously they're trying to, he sees her and is like, listen, I'm not giving you up. I'm not letting you go for nothing. I'm not letting you go for nothing. And he ends up, you know, pretty much fighting for her, and her guard is up because she's like, you hurt me back in the day. And she's holding on to a really dark secret that once she tells him is going to hurt him to the core, and he's going to realize why she is the way that she is. And so it kind of unfolds from there, just kind of very emotional, very roller coaster, like, you know, tug of war. Like, I want you, but I'm scared because you've hurt me in the past. So I rated that 5-star. I absolutely ate it up. Let me see on my Goodreads if I didn't touch on anything. Yeah, if you like deeper themes too, this definitely touched on gentrification. It touched on therapy. It touched on family dynamics because Vanessa's mom was kind of overbearing in a way, but in a protective way, but it was very overbearing to Vanessa. Like, she felt like she had to dot every I and cross every T, and it just, when they went to therapy, you kind of understood where the mother was coming from. So then I read The Love Lyric by Christina Forrest. This was the last book in the Green Sisters series. It follows Iris and Angel, and Angel was a client of Violet. She was in the second book of the series, and Iris is the older sister. And so Iris is a widow to a 6-year-old daughter named Kala. It shares 3 years prior, which is something we see kind of in the book, but just not in the other book, just not in depth. And then it jumps 3 years later, and then it tells the story from there. And so Angel is 3 years younger than her. He really likes her. He's feeling her, but she has her guard up because it's a forbidden romance. It's also forced proximity because he is the brand ambassador for her beauty. I know I said in one video it was a makeup company, but it was beauty products like skincare and stuff like that. So he's the brand ambassador, and her boss is telling Iris, like, listen, we already had a scandal. Keep it professional, keep it classy, keep it cute, and don't mess with this man.
Don't do it.
And like, just watch yourself. Well, obviously, forced proximity, they end up liking each other, and they start dating on the side. So people start finding out because he's a celebrity. Somebody ends up, you know, with something, and it kind of goes from there. And you kind of see Iris trying to let her guard down and realize this is her life. You know, I need to take it back. I need to assess what I really want, who I really want it with. And yeah, I rated it 3 stars because it just didn't resonate with me. I was not exactly sure. It wasn't the writing or anything. I'm not really sure as to why it didn't resonate with me like the other 2 books did. So I did rate it 3 stars. I don't know. Oh, another thing too, when I said on here, there was a deeper theme of judgmental parents and how as children, we don't have to tolerate disrespect and judgment from our parents / grandparents just because they are our parents. There should be boundaries, and Angel suffered with this heavily. Like, his mom was one of those moms, very Christian, like, you should not be singing secular music, it should be all about Jesus, which is, you know, if you're a Christian, yeah, but he wants us to enjoy life as well. So that's the thing. So the next book I finished, I started this earlier in the month, but I finished it towards the end. It's called Trust by Danes L. Reed. I rated it 2 stars. This was my family's book club book of the month pick. I absolutely did not like it. It follows Ruth. It's about sisterhood and book club. I'm not really sure where the plot was. I can't even give y'all a synopsis without getting confused myself. So yeah, it was just a group of ladies. They have this like book club, and I don't know, I didn't like it, and it lacked so much. And if you go on Goodreads and look it up, you will see other reviews saying the same thing. Like, some people were saying it had potential. I don't know, I didn't see that, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. The last book that I read was I'll Be Yours by Nina High. This was very short and sweet novella. It was not my first novella, but my first novella of the year, I want to say. It was only like 60 something pages. Excuse me. And so it follows, dang, I just read this, I just finished it. It follows Dion and Claire. And so Claire is a lawyer. She's kind of uptight. Dion is a chef. And so they meet on the plane. They have a meet cute that's not so cute. So Claire gets on the plane and she's like, yo, you're in my seat. Like, get out of my seat, please. He looks at her ticket and was like, no, this is your seat. So they kind of have really, really good banter for a short book. They have very good conversation. And so from the whole flight, I forget where they were coming from, to LA, they have this really cute banter, this really deep connection to one another, to the point where once they get off the plane, he leaves his card with her. Now she's in LA because her firm wants her to head this new office in LA, and he's there because he does like celebrity chefs, chefing and all that stuff. So she's really thinking about him, and he's thinking about her too. And so she actually decides to hit him up. They go on a date, and it goes from there. The epilogue kind of ends with them on vacation. I think it was like 8 months later or something like that. And it kind of shows them doing different things with their life that's going to make them happy. That's also going to be include the both of them, as far as like, making time for each other, because she was saying how her last relationship didn't last because she's a lawyer. Like, they are busy briefing, reading, doing all these things. And so she, you'll switch up for the right one. You'll do the right things for the right one, and the right one will understand, and all the things, like vice versa. So yeah, I love the epilogue and how that ended. It didn't end with marriage and a baby or anything like that, but it was more deeper of her being free and living in the moment and living her life and being happy in it, and him finding his groove too. So I definitely think they needed each other. It was a very, very lit book. Also in the middle of reading Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson, and this is my first book by the author. I did watch the show Black Cake, which I didn't know was a book at the time, and I'm so pissed that I watched the show before I read the book, because the show was absolutely amazing. If you did not watch that show on Hulu, please go watch that show if it's still available, because that show was so amazing. I binged it in like half a day, I swear. I don't know. It was amazing. But this is about you know what? I'm not even going to save that. I'm just going to let y'all know. I read 94 pages of it, and we'll put it in March's book, and I'll tell y'all all about it. But it is going good so far, super duper good. And yeah, so that's it for the month of February. We really had a good time in February. So this video is like 26 minutes long so far, and I gotta get editing because I want this up today, February 28th. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys all throughout the week, vlogging and stuff. I have a couple videos that I'm in the middle of filming, so we'll be seeing a lot of each other. Like, we're gonna be besties for real. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a blessed day. All right, I don't like that intro. Hey chapter bestie, what's up, and welcome back to What are we doing? The first book that I read was If You Love Me Oh no, wait, hold on. Why isn't this clicking?